and welcome to another Sketch to Scrapbook page. I'm Shimelle Laine, and I'm here with our 23rd sketch of 2013. And for the next 4 sketches, I'm focusing on pages that mix standard size prints like you would take with a camera that's just a camera and not a phone. So 4x6 prints generally, and then square images like you might take on your phone or post to Instagram or anything like that. So they're all sketches and that include 4x6 photos plus squares of various sizes. This one includes a 4x6 landscape photo plus 3 small square pictures, and I've printed them at about 1.5 inches and cut them with a small white border. I've printed these small photos at home on my home photo printer, but there are definitely ways, if you only order prints from somewhere else, there are ways to make one image where you've used the 4x6 space and covered it with the smaller images, and all sorts of different sizes that you can order. Now, I'm using some new papers from Echo Park Here and Now collection. So I've pulled out 3 papers and 1 set of stickers. So this sticker sheet has 3 alphabets plus some phrases and borders. This cut apart border sheet, and I'm going to use this turquoise stripe. The other side is a green trellis print. And these 2 are also from that same collection by Echo Park. I'm going to use this pink for the majority of the background. I like how the watercolor texture to this has it's not one even texture. It looks darker in some places and paler in others. The other side is this floral. And then I'm also going to use this little stripe around the edge that has all the different colors that are represented in the collection. And the other side is this bright multi-patterned cloud print. It's a gorgeous paper, but really not my style for a layout. So I love the stripe edge around the border. So that's where I'm going to use that just like this so that I get that lovely little bit of multicolored stripe all the way around the outside edge. Now I'm also going to use this paper from my scraps, which is a patterned paper from Kesi-art, which is a French paper company. And I just wanted something that was a nice hot pink that would work with tone on tone with the light pink. And I love how they have kind of a similar pattern going here, where this is kind of tiling squares or kind of arrow signs or corners, 90-degree angles, and then this diamond pattern is kind of like taking that same pattern and stretching it out so that they're no longer 90-degree angles. So I have 3 little photos, 1 big photo, and all of that. I'm ready to get started on this really simple sketch that allows you lots of freedom to embellish and write as much as you would like, and some different places that you can pop the title into your design, either on top of the photo or directly underneath above here. So we'll have a look at some different options there as we go. I've cut the pink paper down so that I just have that 1/4 inch border around the edge, but before I attach it to the background, I want to do some stamping that will go off the edge of the design. So I'm going to use a couple different stamps. Because the photos are of the cherry blossoms and the tree branches, I'm going to use this leaf stamp here. This is from Kesi-art, and it's a funny little stamp because this set is all different things about photography. Kesi-art stamps are in French, of course, so there are some words that I can only guess what they mean based on the theme of the whole set, but everything here is kind of things, photo of the day and Polaroids and stuff like that. And then there's a set of leaves, because why not leaves with everything else? So it's a funny little combination, but I like the leaf stamp. It's a really nicely designed leaf, and I just want to stamp it up here off the top of the page, and I want it to be in black because I'm going to add black accents to the layout, but I don't want it to be heavy black. So I'm using a black ink pad that's not super juicy. I have a few different ones, and I keep some that are inked up so that the ink pad is really saturated with ink, and others that will give me that kind of fine shadowed effect. So I'm just going to go up to the top corner and have this vine come down off the edge. Just like that. So now where that ink pad isn't super saturated, I can see the tiny little dots of the ink, but it doesn't look like there's something wrong. It just looks really, really delicate. And then I want to swap that stamp for some wording, and I'll go ahead and use some wording in English. These are from Studio Calico and I just wanted this little stamp that says snapshots. So that I can tuck that just into the leaves there. And then this already is going to give me a great spot to put some finishing touch type embellishment here. So I'll be able to bring in something that will bring out whatever other colors that I use. It might be a great place to put a sticker on pop dots and have a little bit of dimension, some enamel dots or gems, anything like that. So I just wanted to add that before I attached it to the page, because then I don't have to worry about stamping onto the stripe of the background. So I can go ahead and add this now. And build the basics of the sketch here on this backdrop. And for that I really just need one long strip of paper. I'm actually going to use a couple strips, but that's the idea, is that there's going to be this longer block of paper that's going to go behind the photos, and the photos are all here in a line. So I'm going to use that hot pink and cut this into a strip, and then also this turquoise border, because I wanted to introduce a contrasting color that's represented in this color scheme around the edge. And also my photos of the cherry blossoms are on a very sunny blue day, so I want to incorporate those two colors. So now I can take those two strips and attach them below the stamping, and I'm just going to be centering them on that horizontal there, so that should be about even on the two sides over here. And then anchor this strip in the bottom section of the hot pink. And then I can add my photos over the top. So this way you can see that even though I've added more pattern paper here than what's in the original sketch, I'm still staying true to this bottom line where the photo is going to come down below the block of pattern paper, and my small photos are going to line up on this line over here, just like the narrow strip in the original sketch. And of course, you can continue adding more layers of paper until everything suits your style. And then with these, I have kind of a mid-range, a close-up, and a further away. And just a case of getting them in the order that feels best. And I think I like it this way, with the furthest photo off in the distance and the close-up closest to the 4x6. And I kept the white border on these when I cut them out, just so that they'll be really defined on the pattern paper background. Which way does this go? It goes this way. And it's certainly not a requirement, and in fact, because I took these with a frame on my phone, they do actually all have a very narrow but present black border around the edge. But I thought by adding the white, it would just make it a little bit easier to see on the page. And I liked how, because I'm placing these over to the side, the white will actually pick up the fact that there's this one little wispy bit of white cloud in the larger photo. Now, you'll see here that I have actually, this is slightly off balance, where this photo is going to go off the edge of the light pink, and I didn't have that on this side. And I could move the whole thing over a little bit. In fact, I can try that and see if that helps a little bit. But it is something to keep in mind, that it depends on just how small you print those smaller photos. I can recenter this just a little bit, and the pink obviously will be slightly off center, but it means I'll get a little bit of the light pink on either side. So I think I will go ahead and do that. Just add a bit more and make sure that is nice and secure. And now I can start looking at my title and my journaling and embellishment. So on the sketch there's 3 spots for embellishment either side of the long photo strip and at the bottom of the journaling, which continues down from the larger photo in this space here. When I get to this spot on the page, one of the things that I like to do if I'm not completely sure where my title is going to go or my embellishment is going to go is to take some larger elements that I'm going to use and put pop dots on the back but not peel off the backing. That way I can move them around until I find the right spot. So I decided I might use this long sticker from the sticker sheet that goes with the same paper collection as my title, and if I stay true to the sketch then I would be placing it over the photo somewhere like this. But because everything in the picture is kind of centered on that particular corner, I don't think that's the best spot for it. I don't actually dislike it because I tend to like the layers really close together, but I can see where there are really some nice bits of the photo that I would be covering up there. So my next option was to just move it down below the photo and incorporate my journaling underneath there. I don't think there's a problem with this, but I don't think it's a particularly dynamic place for the title either. I think it's quite expected and not particularly amazing or innovative in any way. But then I started moving it around. It could go up here. I like the contrast of the turquoise lettering on the pink background here, and that's quite a nice spot. Could place it underneath here, and instead of going with the contrast, go with the coordinating similar color there so that there's kind of a tone-on-tone effect, and it's just the pop dots that make it really legible because you get the shadow around the edge. So I kind of liked both of those spots, and then I happened to move it up here, and I really like it overlapping the stamps that I've already put in place. I actually thought about covering up the wording that I'd already added and having it just the one stamp and the title sticker, but I like how this can create a little spot where that snapshot's wording will fit right in between the ascenders of the letters, the taller letters here, and gives kind of a little gap, and that particular word just fits in there perfectly. So I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going to put my title. And then my journaling is going to go down here in a column, and I want to start it with this tiny sticker, which I am going to overlap. It just says this week, and I wanted to use something that had a week motif on it because the week that all of the pink trees bloom in this part of the world, I always call it Pink Tree Week because then all of the trees in London are all in bloom at the same time, and it only lasts about a week. So I would journal about that, and I always call it Pink Tree Week in my album, so I thought that would be a great place to use some sort of this week type embellishment because I know they come on almost every sticker sheet now, and if you don't keep a weekly album, it's really easy for them to pile up and you don't really know what to do with them. So sometimes it's great to find something that does actually fit with that idea of a week and go ahead and use it. So I'm going to go ahead and overlap that just there and then continue my journaling down to the bottom of the page. And then looking at the embellishment, there's one bit of embellishment at the bottom of the journaling and then 2 smaller pieces up at the top that form a triangle. So I'm imagining then that my embellishment at the bottom could be something like this sticker. These are all from the same sticker sheet. And I could bring this down and either have it at the bottom of the journaling, or I kind of like the idea if this is the side margin, that this would come over to the side, which is actually quite true to the sketch in that here all of the writing is has that same line there at the side as a margin, and then the embellishment is over to the side of that. But one thing I'm not completely in love with as I look at this is that now I have all this pink embellishment here and I've lost the turquoise. So from this little bit that I had where I cut the edge off, I just tried something really simple and punched a little heart shape from that I could put into this grouping, and that instantly made me think that I will like that little bit of embellishment there because I can bring in the other color that I've used. So with that, I'm ready to start going ahead and adhering those. I'll figure out what embellishment I'm going to bring up here to form that triangle, and I want to make sure I get my writing on the page before I run out of space and overwhelm it with all the other fun bits of embellishment. I added the journaling in a gray pen, and I'm not quite sure how well it's going to show up on the camera. It's a really fine point pen. It's a Copic multiliner 0.1 in gray, and I really love the look of it. It almost looks a bit like pencil, but you can tell that it's ink. I really like it on layouts, especially with washed out colors, but I don't know how well it's going to appear on camera. So if it looks like there's not a lot of writing there, it is really here all in this column, but I'll cross my fingers that when I pull it up on the screen, it looks fine and you can see it. So I went ahead and finished this little grouping of embellishments to kind of give me a direction of where I wanted to go with the rest of the page. So I thought about repeating the same leaf stamp, but I was worried that that would be a little too heavy top and bottom. So I just decided to use another word from that same word stamp set, and then finished it off with some enamel dots in a lovely pink that coordinates with that background paper, and one little bow, and those bows are from Maggie Holmes' Crepe Paper collection. So I think one thing that might work well is to bring another of these bows up to the top by the title, and to repeat the enamel dots up there as well. So I was trying to decide whether it would be better to go with this kind of purpley pink bow or the pink polka dot. I like the pink polka dot with the cherry blossoms because it is like the little blossoms on the tree, but I prefer this one because then they're both solid color bows. The one at the bottom is the solid turquoise, and this one is actually quite a good match to that pattern paper, even though when it's on the card it looks a bit more purple. When it's against that paper, it's a really good match. So I think if I can just tuck this up here, I could actually put the bow in the leaves. I think off to the side is a little better. And then I'll also include some of those pink enamel dots that I used at the bottom. And I'm just going to see where they might work. At the bottom I didn't put them in a line. They're kind of abstract. And I did think about putting larger ones in with these leaves to see if they would look like cherry blossoms, but I wasn't convinced. I thought it looked a little too messy. And not good messy like the cherry blossoms in the tree. So I think I'll just keep these three in a nice little line so that I don't go too overboard with this grouping. I still want it to be really clean, even though there's a few different things. And I'm going to let this bow kind of, I don't know, I need to kind of think about the bow. I liked the idea of repeating that same motif up here, but I don't like the trapped space I get here between the bow and the leaves, and there's something that's just not quite a good match with the leaves and the bow. So maybe I'll leave it for now. I can leave it here and decide. I think it's too detached here. It just doesn't look like it quite belongs. Where here it kind of looks like it's meant to be there because the grouping and there's a horizontal line there for it to attach, almost like it's kind of tied around a present and this is wrapping paper or something like that. I can imagine that in my mind, and up here it doesn't work. I could bring it up here on this line, but then I've got too much empty space and I don't want to add a lot more. So I think I'm going to have to abandon the idea of the bow, but it's very cute and I wish that it had worked. So I'll put that aside. Now, the other embellishment on the sketch is either side of this long horizontal block of photos, and for a little while I was a little stuck as to what I was going to use there, and then I came across this sheet of Amy Tangerine embellishments that I forgot that I ordered. Because when this collection, this is Yes Please, and when it first came out, I wanted these pieces and I ordered them and they were out of stock. Well, I went to order them and they were out of stock, and then at some point in time I went back and ordered them, but in my head I just remembered that they were out of stock, so I think there were a few different layouts where I could have used them and I didn't because I didn't think I had them, and then today I found them. So I need to use them right now. That way I won't forget. So I have the pink circle and the turquoise circle. Those are my two logical pieces to use either side. And if I use the pink circle on this side, I can maximize the contrast. Because if I put the turquoise on this side of the picture, then you'll see it will emphasize that the turquoise and the blue are not the same. I'd rather have the pink and not draw so much attention to that. And then I can use the turquoise at the other side. Now, on the sketch, it's a really small piece that fits right there in that little space, and that's not going to work here. So I need to figure out where I want to place it and what I want to do with it. And I'm thinking what I need to do is add a little something on top of this. Maybe a pink heart or something really simple, but I'm just going to add it underneath the photo instead of to the side. And then I'm thinking maybe this pink arrow, but actually seeing those together, I think that's too similar, too much of the vellum and too much of the stitching. So I'm just going to do the two and add a little bit more embellishment on top of this. Now, I could add the bow there. I keep trying to get the bow into the layout. And my other option was a heart, so I have a couple different heart shapes. Let's have a look. This heart is the larger Martha Stewart heart, which it's going to be larger than this one, but my other heart punch is smaller. So I'll try one of each and see what will work. I have some more of this pink paper, so I'll give those two a try and see what's the best match. Okay, I decided that the small heart was too small, the large heart was too big, so I stuck with the bow idea but then added two small hearts. So this group of embellishment now has something in common with this one. And then I added another stamped word here and some gray enamel dots. And then this one looked a little lonely, so I added 3 gray enamel dots here too. That's the one thing that I'm wishing maybe I hadn't done, but because I've put enamel dots on top of the photo, I would need to print the photo again because that's a photo printed at home, so if I peel the enamel dot off, I'm going to lose the color underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and live with the enamel dots there. I don't dislike them so much that they would make me unhappy, but I think if I did it again, I would probably do something a little bit different in this grouping. But I'm quite happy to call this one finished here, and do really like this grouping and this grouping opposite each other. So here's the original sketch, which you can pop over to Shimelle.com. You can find this image so that you can save this and print it at whatever size you want, or save it to your phone if you take your phone or your iPad or whatever to a crop, so that you can have your sketch with you whenever you want to scrapbook. And you'll also find in that same blog post a second version from one of our guest contributors. And I hope that you will share whatever you make inspired by this sketch with us so that I can see what you make. I can't wait to see. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.